Hey, what's up, Mental Health Nation? Hope everybody's doing great and having a great summer so far. As you can see, I have a different background. I'm still in Kansas City at my brother's house, getting ready to fly back tomorrow morning early back to Virginia, and then Sunday I'm heading back to Italy finally. Got lots to talk about. But Lynn, are you back in Florida now, or are you still in
Hey,
Philadelphia?
yeah, I'm back in Florida. As you can see, I'm in my Jeep
Yay!
because I was out and about actually with my son. But I can't miss doing the podcast. So, this past weekend was really eventful. We went to DC and we did the national parade on 4th of July,
Mhm.
Independence Day. So that was a lot of fun. It was really hot though. But thankfully on 4th of July it's kind of overcast.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of shade, but we found a really good spot like underneath a tree. And so that was nice. And it was really cool to see all the different bands and the different dance teams and like all the people that came out just to celebrate the nation's birthday. And then later on that night, it was, I can't even describe it. It was such a cool sight to see the fireworks being shot. Like, so we went to Capitol Hill and we were on the steps of Capitol Hill, and that's where they have the national program. They have like a concert and like a whole
Mhm.
show on PBS. And I don't know what the guy's name is, but his name is Carlton from Fresh Prince. He was hosting it.
Mm.
And so we were fortunate enough to like be able to be there because there's a lot of guards and a lot of security, a lot of boundaries where you can't go through, and then it was packed. But we were on the steps of Capitol Hill, and then we were able to watch the fireworks being shot behind the Washington Monument. So that was
Oh,
really
that's cool.
magical. It was really like majestic. We felt so patriotic. Me and my husband, we were saying that the only thing missing was like watching a bald eagle fly across the sky. Like it was so cool
That
to
would have been
be
awesome.
in the nation's capital watching that behind the Washington Monument, which is amazing. And so the kids really enjoyed it. We told them how this is like once in a lifetime, especially if you don't
Mhm.
live in that area. So
Yep.
I never experienced anything like that because I don't go to the north or the east. I didn't grow
Yeah.
up in this area. So um yeah, the kids got to do that, and then the next day we went to Philadelphia, which is where they have the Independence Hall and Liberty Bell, and a lot of
Mhm.
our founding fathers are from there. And a lot of people don't know. I mean, they might have learned it, but a lot of people don't realize that our nation's first capital is Philadelphia, and that's where they did the whole like the talks about Declaration of Independence and like just making our government, and all the founding fathers and our founding documents were there, signed there. And so we just did a whole tour thing for America's birthday and just teaching my kids United States history, which I
Yeah.
think is super important because 4th of July is like one of my favorite holidays. And it's super important just to learn like where we came from, where our country came from. So, and then
Mhm.
we got to see so after Philadelphia, we wanted to see the National Archives and look at the founding documents like Declaration of
Mhm.
Independence. But obviously on 4th of July, it was such a long line because it's free to get in there because it's a
Yeah.
national museum. So it's free to get in, so it was a long line. So on our way back down, because we went back down to Virginia, we stopped at the National Archives. So we were able to look at the founding documents, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, which was really cool.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's something that, of course, being in Virginia for the last 20 plus years, anytime somebody would come visit, we'd go to the Smithsonian's and obviously we'd do all that. And if it's something that, you've never been to before, it's really, really great to go and see and experience, especially with kids, because they learn about that in history and now they can physically see it and
Right.
see that document. And it's really amazing. But hey, before we jump any more into that, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. But listen, Breeze Across America, there's a QR code up there in the upper left-hand corner. You can scan that with your phone. It takes you to a website, and from there you can donate for the wreaths all the wreaths go across the veteran cemeteries during the holidays. But also on Fridays at 8 p.m. and Sundays at 10 p.m., Wreaths Across America Radio replays my podcast. Uh, and it's super easy to find. You just download the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the Odyssey app, and search for Wreaths Across America Radio to get my program, but not only mine, all the other programs they have. They have so many great programs. And then along with that, you see that scrolling at the bottom, shop VeteranTrashTalk.com, where you can get all of our merch, the t-shirts, and then up in the right-hand corner, you got 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirits, which I just did a big order. It's sitting at Chris's house. Take it back to Italy with me. So I'm super excited about that. My Italian friends are super excited about that because they've really come to learn to love that bourbon. So I'm happy to get it back to them. But Lynn, you were talking about being with your family and stuff, and you guys know that I came to Missouri, obviously for the Emmys on June 22nd, which you won, and I'm still kind of processing that because that was truly an amazing night and something I'll never forget, and I'm sure my son won't forget that either. But on the caveat to that, my sister-in-law unfortunately lost her bout with cancer, and she passed away June 5th, and the funeral was June 14th. And of course, I'd already discussed with my family about when I would come in and see that. So I spent the last week down at my brother's house in Ozark, just helping him out, and he's got to find out what his new norm was. They were married for 37 years. And I did a couple of mental health breaks down there. I think when I was mowing his yard, and I just doing little things to help him and fixing his storage shed. And sometimes when somebody is suffering, sometimes the best thing to do is just be there, right? You don't have to do a whole lot, or just the fact that you're just there with them, just to kind of help them out. Of course, Monday was her birthday; would have been her 60th birthday. And I was going to come back to Kansas City on Monday night, but I decided to stay there and stay the night with my brother, and I did that and came back up here on Tuesday, and I fly out obviously in the morning back to Virginia. But it's kind of tough, Lynn. When you've been with somebody for that long, it's kind of hard. I'm going to have him on the show in a couple of weeks. He did set up a foundation in her name, and it helps for scholarships for young women who want to go into the sciences. She was a scientist. She worked for Cox Health there in the lab department for many years. And so that's just a really great thing that he did to kind of help, memorize her name and what she did. And so that's just really great to see. And I got to go visit my grandfather's grave. I haven't been to his grave for a while. He's a World War II vet. So we went and visited his grave. And then also her dad was also buried in the same cemetery, and he's also a World War II vet. So, it's been kind of an emotional roller coaster. As you can tell, I look pretty tired as I see myself on camera now, but things will get back to normal here in a couple of weeks once I get back to Italy and back to the normal routine of life. But sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, right, Lynn?
Yeah, especially like just being there for your family, but with the grief, um, unfortunately, that's it's part of life, and it's hard. It's never, and I always say that it doesn't really get easier. It just becomes familiar, and it's
Hmm.
something that you kind of learn to live with day by day, and like there's really no words, especially if you've been with your partner for 37 years or however
Yeah,
long. I mean, even if you were with your partner for however many years, just losing a significant other is tragic.
yeah.
That's a big part of your life. So, yeah, learning a new routine,
Well, and
stuff like
one thing for me, obviously, being in Italy and not being here, and even for the direct family, and this goes for anybody out there that's listening. If you have been a caregiver for a sick loved one or a sick family member or a friend, that's very stressful and hard. I mean, so we didn't see all the bad times. When that person you're taking care of is sick in the middle of the night, and you have to get up and clean the sheets or clean them up, or he was still working. He retired last year, but I mean, while he was working, I mean, he had to do all that in the middle of the night, and then continue to go to work and do other things. So it does wear on you. And we had a long talk about that. And one thing he is going to do is he's going to go into counseling and get counseling for his kids, even though his kids are grown. They did lose their mom, and I think for anybody that's whether the death was expected. I mean, she fought cancer for 4.5 years. They didn't think she'd live for 6 months. So you have that, or if the death occurs quickly, right? It's the same. It doesn't matter how it happens, if it's expected or not. Once it does happen, and it's final, that's really where I think the pain and the new norm and all those things come in. And if you are that person and you have been through something similar, please. I know hospice offers, I think, up to 1 year of counseling for free. Please take care of that. There's a lot of organizations out there, but even if you don't think you need it, at least go and talk to them at least once. Because they do that. Hospice. My hats off to them, because when they came in when my dad died 6 years ago now, they did such a great job, and I think those people really don't get enough credit for what they do, because they're coming in at somebody's end of life, and they're trying to make that person comfortable. They're trying to get the family prepared for what's about to happen, And all my hats off to everybody out there that works in the hospice, and for what they do for the families. Once they get that phone call, because we know that once you call hospice, I mean that's it. I mean it's game over. And so they do a really good job, and appreciative of all that they do.
Yeah. So were you able to spend 4th of July there?
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did. We did Fourth of July at my brother's house. We shot off a bunch of fireworks, and then him and his two daughters and his son, they lit the lanterns, that float up in the air, and they did
Oh
that
yeah.
in kind of in memory to her. And it's kind of cool though, because there was a big thunderstorm coming in, but it didn't come in. But when they put the lanterns up, we kind of had the updraft from the incoming storm, and
Hmm.
so man, they went so far up in the sky. I mean, they're like a little bitty dot up there, because it just kind of quickly took them up, and then so that was kind of, it didn't blow them out, but they went a long way. So that was kind of cool and see, and it was it's kind of nice to see my brother and his daughters hug, at that moment.
Oh, that's
But
sweet.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're both well, they're 6 months older than my oldest son, Junior, so they're 21. Of
Oh, okay, so they're
course,
still really young. They're still very young,
yeah.
actually.
And his oldest son, I think Drake's 26. So and he was there also. So yeah, it was fun. Just kind of low key. Had a little swing party there earlier in the days with some friends, and they left, and then we shot fireworks up at night, and it was just us and the kids there. So that was kind of fun. It
Yeah.
was pretty low key, but I mean, you could see everybody else shooting fireworks up, all around. But he lives out in the country, so that was kind of cool, kind of low key. But I've been up to the one in Washington D.C. That is, if you've never gone to a big fireworks display in one of the big cities, normally they're pretty awesome. But the one in DC is pretty awesome.
They have like, and it's like all over up and down the river too. So after
Hmm.
the one big one by the monument is done, they have like several other different shows because we were walking towards the train or the subway, and there was still so many other fireworks shows going on, which was really cool. But yeah, this was the first year that obviously like normally every 4th of July we spend it at the house and we buy so much fireworks. It's like we're literally lighting our money up on fire. So this first 4th of July that we didn't shoot our own fireworks, but it was okay. It was really worth
Well,
it.
that, like me, I kept all my fingers, so yes. I
Right?
didn't lose any fingers. Did you? I saw that one report where that guy, I don't know what it was, but he put the firework on his head and he wound up killing himself. I mean, these people get silly sometimes. Yeah, he had like on the Uncle Sam outfit, the red, white, and blue, and the hat. And I guess I don't know what firework was that he stuck on the head, but it
I've
killed him instantly.
I've seen so many. I've seen so many like crazy ones. Like someone took the Roman candles and put it on their feet and
Yeah.
started doing like breakdancing moves. I
Hmm.
don't know. There's just so many like hazards, like not safe at all. Like
I
videos out
remember
there.
I remember in the small town I grew up in Warren, Missouri, we had Consumer, which was a grocery store parking lot, and it was a big parking lot. And
Hmm.
literally, I think about 400 kids out there. And one group would get on one side, one group would get on the other side. We'd have a big bottle rocket fight, and that was kind of the norm for a lot of years. We had lines that you couldn't cross, but we shoot bottle rockets at us for hours at each other. And it was funny because I remember as a kid hearing about it, and when I was finally old enough to do it, it's kind of fun to go and do that. But I mean, it's just what you do out in the country, right?
Yeah, in the country. I actually have this one funny story. 4th of July, I used to live in Galveston, and it's close enough to NASA. And so I had a bunch of rocket scientist friends that just like graduated from like Embry Riddle, and they just started at NASA, and they were shooting Roman candles at each other.
Oh,
They
no,
were
that's
like,
cool. That's so crazy.
yeah, they were. Then we were in our 20s, and so even though they were rocket scientists, they were still acting like assholes, shooting it like, oh my gosh, like the things we do when we're younger, like you just don't think about the consequences. Now that we're older, it's like, ugh, like what were we thinking?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we used to have the M80s. We'd blow up ant hills and mailboxes, and we did. Not. Old mailboxes, not
Yeah.
somebody's mailboxes, but we just blow stuff up with it as kids. But yeah, and we never got hurt. But knock on wood.
So Monica, shout out to Monica VTT. I think it was last year. She was watching some of my videos of us shooting fireworks, and in California they don't shoot fireworks out there. So she's like, "Oh my god, you're so crazy!" But like in the South and like the rest of the country, it's normal to shoot your own fireworks, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, like as I grew up in California, and we did not have our own fireworks. We would have to go somewhere to actually watch them.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. No, in Missouri, it's always a big thing. I mean, and
Yeah.
when I was in high school, one of the things the football team did to raise money for the team was to have a fireworks stand. And
Hmm.
so we all would take turns working the fireworks stand and spending the night in at night. I remember one night we were spending the night in the fireworks stand. I think it was me and Mike, buddy of mine. And all of a sudden we hear the tornado sirens go go off.
Ooh.
It hit, I think, north of us.
Hmm.
But yeah, but that was kind of funny. They
Funny.
all.
Hurricane Beryl just hit Houston.
Mm-hmm.
It just hit Texas. I wasn't really like looking at the news, but like, my thoughts and prayers go out to them. I know a lot of my friends and family have gotten affected. They had to like evacuate. A lot of people like had flooding and trees down, roofs off a lot of damages out there. So
Well, I
hopefully
know at my brother's house
recovery
there
out.
in Ozark, Southwest Missouri, they had a bunch of rain come up from Beryl. Didn't quite get up there far north as Kansas City, but brother's house in Ozark on Tuesday it started raining, and I think by Wednesday morning they had like over 5 inches of rain, and so they were dealing with a lot of flooding. Not any really bad storm, just a lot of heavy rain. So, trees falling down, and of course this pond filled up, so that was good for the horses. But yeah, so for anybody in the path of that, I hope everybody's doing okay. I think the storms have now moved on completely. So, but if you suffer damage or stuff, just please, look out for your neighbors. If they had damage on the house or got limbs down, go help them pick them up or something. Just help out.
I
And,
had
that's what we do.
in Houston, Mark Rodriguez, shout out Mark. He's an Army veteran, and he's out there clearing down trees and stuff for free. Like, so if you have trees down and cleared down, look for a guy named Mark Rodriguez, which is probably a really common name in Houston, but he's out there doing it for free, especially for veterans, helping clean up. So there's gonna
That's
be resources
awesome.
out there.
So, Lynn, I just want to follow up with you. I know last time we were on, we didn't do a show last week. Obviously, I just had too much going on. I was just too mentally tired to be honest with you, to deal with it. And so, we made the decision not to have the show last week. But, you were down there with that tragic accident that happened in Florida. Have you followed up with the family down there, and how are they doing, or have they just kind of moved on with their life?
Oh my goodness. So Miss Amber Stewart, shout out to her. She's doing such an amazing job. She's so strong. They have been doing their best to pick up with life. The last time that I texted with her, she said that her and her kids are starting therapy. So they're starting that, and I just have to get my schedule cleared where I can meet up with her and have lunch with her because I still have some stuff to give her that arrived late from the funeral. Um, but yeah, everything she does is in memory of Cody.
Yeah,
Um, they have done their first Father's Day without him, and now their
yeah,
first Fourth of July.
yeah,
And and I'm sure they have their ups and downs. The kids definitely, I feel for them. But what last thing I heard, and it's on the news, so I can talk about like it. Um, they're suing Ginny Springs for not having enough security and like just like the whole thing. Like there
yeah,
was 30,000 people there. There shouldn't have been that many. They should have a cap of how many people could be there. And then like per however many people there should be that amount of security, and it was just negligent.
yes,
So they're suing the whole entire camp, and it's private property because most of the springs in Florida is ran by the state, so it's
mm,
a state park. But this is the only one that's private property, still privately owned by like the family, and
mm,
so they're able to allow drinking and partying and things like that. Whereas a state park, that's not allowed.
yeah.
But yeah, they're suing for negligence, and
Well, I think
hopefully
what
they get their justice.
Yeah. So if you guys are tuning in, you don't understand what we're talking about, you can go back a couple episodes ago and rewatch it. But Lynn was down there at Memorial Day weekend, if I remember correctly, and there was a shooting at a campground. And unfortunately, a young gentleman, husband, and father, lost his life in that shooting. Completely, sorry, completely unnecessary and unfortunate that happened. And so Lynn has remained friends with the wife, and so I was just asking her for an update on that. So
It's crazy because I walk around town and randomly, like today, I was at work today, and I rarely go into the office, but the security guard in our building, he's like, "Hey, I saw you on TV. You were on the news." So, and then like, so I really kind of talked to him about it. He's like, "I don't remember what it was for," and so we kind of talked about what it was for Jenny Springs, how we tried to save his life, but he passed away. Da 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 da. Da. But sometimes I'll walk around town or I'll go to a bar where like people know me and they're like, "Oh, I remember you on the news."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like, so I mean, it's a big deal because that's a huge spot where Floridians just love to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a tragic accident. So, if you guys have watched my episode on the Able channel that won the Emmy for surviving suicide, you'll recognize this room. I'll hold up. If you see the clock up there, that clock is the one
Uh,
that's in the show that I talk about. And also, if you watch it, this is actually I'm sitting in the spot where my brother found me. Actually,
oh,
when I tried to complete suicide. So, it's maybe that's why I'm fidgeting around a little bit in here. I don't know. But we were talking. My other brother, Chris, whose wife had passed away, we were talking about, because when she went on, I mean, obviously he had some, ideations, suicidal ideations, and we talked through that. But then that led into the conversation of, my brother, his house is very beautiful here in Kansas City. He's owned it for 25 years, built in 1908, 6 bedroom, 4 baths. But, what if I would have died in his house? Would he have still been here? Would he have left? Would he have sold it? It's just some, things and conversations you have because, every day when he walks in, he'd think about me. And it's just something that, I think about. I'm so thankful that I didn't, obviously. But, it's one of those effects that, people often don't think about when somebody, either dies or completes suicide. And I think, especially for somebody that has, my father passed away in my house that I owned in Independence, and after my mom moved out, I sold the house. I had no use for it, and I don't know what my brother's going to do with the house that him and his wife lived in for 20 plus years, but that's got to be hard. That's got to be a hard thing to go through.
it is.
Every single
Very-
day. Yeah, I don't know how you process it. I don't know.
So, mom passed away in our childhood home. Um, but my brother still lives there, and at first he wanted to move. He's like, "Should I stay or should I, you know,
Yeah,
or keep the house?" I was like, "Just keep the house. It's number one. It's San Diego, so it's like astronomical prices to live anywhere." So, yeah, she passed away there. But I can tell you this: my sister used to be in healthcare, and she used to be in the medical field. And we did my mom's end of care life. We did her end of life care,
yeah,
and we were her hospice nurses, and we did 12 on, 12 off. So when my sister went back to work after the grieving and all that, um she every time she saw a chart that reminded her of my mother, she would break down, or like she would just randomly break down. So
yeah.
she had to quit. So she eventually quit her job. She quit the medical field, and then she started a whole new career, and
Oh
went
wow.
into the beauty industry because it's just a lot, it was a reminder of all the things, like, because we were
Mhm.
very close with our mother, and then to give her end of care, end of life care, was
Yeah.
difficult for the two of us. So yeah, she really like took the drink of it. She
Well,
ended up
and
her job.
like for my father and for Giselle, I think it was nice to allow them to not be in a strange place and be, in their home, obviously, um, for that. I mean, I was thankful my father, he didn't want to be in a hospital. He didn't want to be in a nursing home. He didn't want to be none of that. And so we just made the decision to keep him, at the house. Of course, hospice comes in and does the great job they do. And same with Giselle. I mean, my brother made a lot of modifications in the house to, make her as comfortable as possible. But I mean, I don't think he's going to move out of the house. I think he's going to keep it. They did a bunch of remodeling.
Yeah.
She had enough forethought that, she wanted a bunch of things fixed in the house. And I think she was just preparing it for when she wasn't going to be there. And so they planned it as well as you can plan it. But I tell you one thing he's having problems with is the life insurance stuff. These life insurance companies sometimes. I'm not going to go on too big of a rant, but Man, they keep asking for the paperwork over and over again, and he's constantly being reminded of, birth certificate, fill out a form, fax it in, email it in, phone call. And he was really stressed out about that the other day. And that's something that I forgot about because, when my father passed away, I did that for my father because I helped my mother with all the finances because they lived in my house. And I just, and I just told Chris, I said, you know what? You don't have to do it all at once. He's trying to get everything done as fast as possible. I know why he was doing that. So you could just kind of not always think about it every single day, right? Because you're always looking at the death
Right.
certificate. And I get that. But I told him, I said, do one if you do one thing a day, but if you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. Just wait another day. It's not, and really, it's not going to matter. And I think, sometimes for people who, are having mental health issues or PTSD issues, or sometimes, and you're coming out of recovery and you're trying to fix things that kind of maybe got messed up a little bit while you were going through your recovery, just know that you don't have to get everything done in one day. I think sometimes we just try to. I think that's the military, right? That's ingrained in us and as
Yeah.
veterans,
You
right?
just
We just want
get
to get everything done as quick as possible. Bam, 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 right? And then you get frustrated because you can't get it done. But
yeah.
just like in the military, and you're doing paperwork for the military or something, there's always layers and repeat of things that you have to do, and it becomes very frustrating. Uh,
Yeah.
you
Normally
know,
they have a deadline, so they give you a couple weeks to do something. So you could pace yourself within that time frame.
yeah.
Don't wait too long, but like do it within the time frame.
Yeah, and he did pretty good. He put a board up with notes, and I think they did that prior to her passing. And it's on his. He has a big window and he has the blind shut. He has wooden blinds, and on the shutters he has sticky notes of what he needs to do. And then when he completes stuff, he takes it off. And so I had my list of things to do, and so I cleared my stuff off the blinds while I was there. So normally when I come to town, I fix a lot of stuff around all my family houses. It's just what I do when I come to town. So
Yeah.
he had a storage shed that he hadn't been in 5 years, and I have never seen so much rat shit in my life. But
Whoa.
I got it all cleaned out, got it fixed, and so now he can park his lawnmower. But it's
Yeah. So I don't know if it's my connection or your connection. I think my phone froze. I think I'm
It's
frozen.
Cliff. It's not you. It's Cliff.
Oh. Okay. Because I'm in the storm and it's raining if you could see out the window. So um
Yeah, it's Cliff. Just hang in there.
so everybody who's watching or listening, Cliff's and has frozen. But we'll give him a little bit of time to get back on. And so he was talking about cleaning the storage or cleaning the garage and helping out family. So usually I do the same thing. Like when I'm with family, I help clean and all that stuff. But now that I moved to Florida, um, I'm here now. So actually, while I was gone, a lot of my family members wanted to come over to the house because I have the pool, I have the party house. So they would call or text and be like, Lynn, can I come over to your house while you're gone? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go for it. So anything to help with the family. And I'm really close with everybody. So it makes it easier for us just to be there for each other. And that's the main reason why I moved to Florida anyway, is to be closer to family. Um, so that's really cool that Cliff was able to be there for his brother. Let's see if Cliff is going to rejoin us.
He just said he dropped. He'll be right back on.
Okay. So I think I wish I could look at the comments and what's going on. I can't because I'm on my phone.
There's none. You're good.
Okay. I'm on my phone. So, here in Florida in the rain. And thankfully we have the rain because it's been pretty dry for the summer. Like May and June didn't rain at all. Um, but now it's raining. So, and I always say I love the rain because it gives free water and I don't have to use my own water to water my lawn and then fill my pool. So, Oops, wait on Cliff to get back. And usually Cliff is the one who's the talker, and he leads the conversation. So
He lost power. You're gonna have to close it out.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks for joining us on the Mental Health Warrior today. Cliff lost power, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Remember to check us out on Wreaths Across America, and check out VTT, VeteranTrashTalk.com for all our merch and to shop and to look at all our podcasts. And remember, I think we air on Fridays and Sundays on Wreaths Across America on iHeartRadio. So thanks again, you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe.